Hi everybody, it's Michelle at Knitting on the Side. Today is Monday, July the 20th, and I wanted to come in and tell you about what I've been working on. We could start with what I'm wearing. I finally finished my Annecy tee. This is a pattern from November Knits. Her name is Anae Fiskum Sunday, I think. I'm probably not pronouncing that right because it's not a name that I usually know. But she also goes by November Knits. And if you are a member of Knit and Note, you can get this pattern as part of your premium subscription to that app. So the pattern didn't cost me anything more than what I already paid for this membership. So I used it. I got my t-shirt done a couple days before the end of the knit along that I was doing for the Knitting McPurley summer knit along. So I just got it washed and blocked and got my photos taken like the day before I needed to submit them. So I did get it done. Very happy about it. I'm happy with the way it fits. It's comfortable. And today it gets its first real wear. I put it on the other day just for photos and took it off, and today it gets to be worn. Another finished object that I made this week, after I got this done and I had time to do something different, I got this pattern. It's a Susan B. Anderson pattern called Mother Hen. I saw the pictures on Instagram and I thought it was super cute, so I decided I wanted to give it a go. And I pulled out a bag of assorted scrap yarns in the colors that I needed to use. And then I had a ball of Big Twist. And this is the gray that I used for the jacket. It's called medium gray. And the white that I used for the body is Premier Just Yarn. And then the yellow and red, I think, are Red Heart Super Saver scraps. I couldn't even tell you what color they are. But here is my finished Mother Hen. And which came first, the chicken or the egg? The egg I did first. I thought I'd give it a little shot first because it was so tiny. The last thing I made was the little chick. And the buttons on the coat are vintage out of my button stash. I did go stash diving for those. The pattern is really easy to follow, but it's very fiddly because you have to, let me take her jacket off here. When you make the body, she has you leave purl bumps where you're going to do your tail and your legs. And then on the pattern, she has you picking up with double pointed needles on each side of your row of purl bumps so that you have that to attach your leg with under your tail. And that part is very fiddly. I think if I were going to make another one of these, I would do magic loop to do that part of the tail and the legs. I don't like to do magic loop, but I think that would be easier than doing the double points on those. And then the hat is knitted in the round on double points, and you end up with, she has you cut the yarn at the end of every color change, so you've got lots and lots of ends to weave in on this hat. But it's very fiddly as well doing this in the round because you're doing 2 rounds with each color, so it's only attached in one spot on each color, and then you've got all these ends hanging. And I think this would be, if you're going to make this, I think this would be a lot easier if you converted this to knit it flat and then just sewed it together when you're weaving your ends in. I think that would make this hat a lot easier. Or even just doing the garter stripes flat, sew them together, and then do the crown. I think that would be much simpler. And then my little tiny pom-pom, I don't have a pom-pom maker that small, so I used a fork and wrapped my yarn around a fork to make that little pom-pom. So, but really, the instructions are really great. It makes a very cute chicken. I just thought it was adorable, so I had to make one. When I was making the jacket, which was the last part that I made with red yarn, I started it, you start at the top, and you knit your way down to the bottom of the hem, and you hold stitches for the sleeves, just like you do for most top-down raglan sweaters. You bind off with the red. At the sleeve, when you do it, you're supposed to bind off with the red on it as well, but I ran out of this shade of red. I've got another one in my sack of scraps, but it was not the same, and I thought it would be a little too contrasty to use that other shade of red, so I just used the yellow that I used on the chicken and the chick and finished my sleeves off with it rather than have a whole different color. But these buttons are just cute. We'll focus. I thought they were really nice. So that is my mother hen. She is done. It took me 6 days to make that thing. It doesn't look like it should take 6 days, but it did. On other news, I got a package of these things. If you guys remember, I had talked about using scrap yarn to make baskets. And one of the things that I was thinking about was using a wood base with holes in it. And I was shopping online and I came across these and I thought this would make my life much easier. Much easier than trying to do this myself. So I just went ahead and bought a package of them. And they are unfinished, untreated. It's just like laser cut, thin plywood. And when wood gets wet, it stains. So I also have this spray polyurethane. It's spar urethane. It is good for using it like they've got a picture here of like a front door, indoor, outdoor. So I am going to spray all of those down with this urethane before I use them. That way if I put them down on a table, it gets a little drop of water on it. It's not going to stain the wood and cause the ply to separate. So the other day I did spray one of them just to kind of try it out. I sprayed it, got a couple coats on it. It is covered pretty good. It's still not something I'm going to leave outside. It's not that good, but it's good enough to use in the house and not have to worry about it. And then I was just kind of playing around with crocheting onto it. I think what I'm going to have to do is probably do one round with maybe just one piece of yarn or two to get a base around and then start crocheting up for the baskets. So this was just a little sample to try it out. And I think that's going to work pretty good. It's going to take a little more planning and practice to get what I envision in my mind, but it's going to work. So that is moving forward. Also moving forward, I have worked on my socks. I got the heel and the gusset completely done, and I've started down the foot. This is still the first sock, so we're quite a ways away from a pair yet, but I did make quite a bit of progress on here because I picked it up and worked on it here and there when I need something that doesn't require much concentration, I'll pick up a sock. And I also, we've been here on our property, we're getting a septic system put in, and so we needed to be around here while the workers were here. So I pulled a UFO off my shelf and I was working on it. And I don't know if you guys will remember this one. It is my Orange cardigan. And the last time that I had showed it to you, I had just started these shorter arrows in here, and they were made with this papaya color. So you were using 3 strands to do this color work at the top. And I did not like that at all. So I unpicked all of that with the 3 colors. And I went through and I re-knitted it with just 2 colors. And I think it looks fine. I don't think, if I hadn't told you that it was supposed to be 3 colors, you probably wouldn't even have a clue. So I think it looks good with just the 2 colors. I'm gonna go with that. And I got done with this chart for the arrows. The next thing that I have to do on here is a Latvian braid. When I do the Latvian braid, I'm not going to want to put it down in the middle of a row. It's something that I need to, it's actually a few rows to do a whole braid, and I'm going to need to sit down and do the entire thing around the entire top at one time. So I need a good chunk of time in there when I'm not going to be interrupted, not going to have to put it down, because you're dealing with a couple balls of yarn and you don't want to get them tangled up and lose track of where you're at. I did do Latvian braid on the bottom of the cuffs. That's kind of what it looks like when you do it. I can't remember. I think it's 3 rows maybe that you have to do, just boom, 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 which on this little sleeve, not bad. On this, that's going to take a while. So I need a good chunk of time in there when I can sit down and just do it. If you're interested in making that cardigan, that pattern is available for free on Knitty.com. So look it up, see if it's something you want to do. And then I also started a new project. I have some cones of this yarn. It is Lion Brand's Re-Up. Can't see if you can focus on that. It's a recycled cotton and polyester. I think it's 70% cotton. 70% recycled cotton and 30% recycled polyester. The color that I've got here is called Fig Tree. And I have used this yarn in different colors. I've used, I think, 3 cones of it so far. I got one at Joann's one day and I liked it, so I went to their website and I ordered one of every color that they had at that time. So I ended up with, I think, 8 cones of yarn total. This is, I think, my 4th one, and I have 4 more back there on my shelf that are not even opened yet. And I went looking for patterns that used, I think there was 650-ish yards on this cone, looking for patterns that I could use to make something with that much cotton blend yarn. And I came across a pattern called Easy Street Tank. I'll try to put a picture in so that I can show you what it looks like. And I decided I would make one for myself. You start on the back, and at first you're just knitting a plain rectangle. The edges curl, so it's kind of hard to show you, but you just start with a plain rectangle, and then when you get down far enough that you're like to your armpit area, then you start doing increases so that it will go underneath your arm. And then you come around and you attach to the top. You pick up stitches to do the strap. You make one strap, and then you make the other strap. And as you're doing them, you're increasing to make the neckline down here. So you're increasing on the inside, and you're going straight down here. And then once you get to that point where you join them together, you start increasing for going under your underarms in a similar way that you did for the back portion. So that is where I'm at right now. I'm increasing for my underarms and on the front portion of the shirt. When I get that done, then on the sides we'll join together and we'll start going around and around and around. And at that time, it'll go really fast because you won't have to go back and forth. You won't have to purl, which takes longer. When you get the... All right, so back to what I was saying. After I start knitting this in the round, it'll go really fast. And then when you get done knitting the body of it, you come back around the neck hole and the armholes, and you add a band of ribbing to those. This will not take very long. I started it the night before last, and I've already got quite a bit done on it, just in a little bit of time that I've been working on it, because I just barely started it that night when I cast on. So that one is progressing quickly. The frost slippers, I returned those to the UFO shelf. I really wasn't feeling it, so I'm not going to bother working on those for a while. One of these days I will get to going on them. And I was going to show you guys the other day when I was making that lining for that little hair tie bag in the last episode. When I was cutting out the lining, I'd measured to see how wide I needed to cut it, and then I started cutting it. I cut through my tape measure. I love these little retractable tape measures, and I just chopped that sucker right off. So now it's useless, but I thought I'd share that with you. I still make rookie mistakes sometimes, like not checking to see where my scissors are going when I cut. So that's all I've got for you right now. I haven't had a whole lot of projects that I've been working on, but I did progress on getting a couple of them done. And one of them you hadn't even seen me start, and I'm already done with it. So next time I will have probably a finished tank top. Maybe some socks. I don't know. We'll see. You guys have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.